When I was young, I'd listen to the radio, waiting for my favorite songs. When they played, I'd sing along. It made me smile. Those were such happy times and not so long ago. How I wondered where they'd gone. But they're back again, just like a long-lost friend. All the songs I love so well. How many of you out there remember when AM radio was king back in the 60s and into the 70s? When AM radio was all we had, where we heard our favorite songs, the excitement of hearing those favorite songs. You'd be sitting there waiting to hear these tunes come on, make you happy, make you smile. Radios like this is a little bit before my time. Back in my era, when I was 11, 12 or so, it was radios like this. Who remembers these? The dials. Panasonic. And those songs would come on little radios like this, or maybe different style transistor radios you had, and how when you heard them, how it would take you back, bring back memories. Even now, today, when I hear some of these songs, it brings me back to those times. It brings me back to those special memories. They come flooding back in, these memories. It might be a specific time or a specific event or place in your life. Or it might remind you of friends or family or loved ones. Maybe someone significant in your life that maybe they're no longer significant in your life, but certain songs will bring you back to those moments, those special times you shared with these special people in your life. And that's pretty heavy when you think about it. How songs can bring you back and remind you of things, almost like taking you back in a time capsule to moments in your life that are so important to you and mean so much to you, on little radios such as this, or as we all talk about with our vinyl records, or with back in the day 8-track tapes or cassettes, or if you go way back, reel to reel. Okay? Now, the super and popular artists that we all know and love, such as the Beatles, Elvis, Buddy Holly, Cheap Trick I have on the wall here, and many others, these artists that are so popular, that are so well ingrained in people's minds, those are important. Those are very, very important. They're great. But for me, the songs that really open that time capsule, the songs you would hear on little transistor radios like this, those are the nuggets, okay? Those are those one-hit wonders that they're rarely heard. You don't hear them anymore, or you hear them so little that when you do hear them, it is like opening a time capsule. And those lost hits can really take you back. Because more so, I think, than the real popular hits. I mean, look at like an album like Elton John's Yellow Brick Road, for example. Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, I should say. Yes, it takes you back to 1973. It takes me back to when I was 11 or 12, those songs on that album. I mean, but it's such a smash hit album, and those songs, the top 40 songs from that album, are played so much that, you know, they'll take me back to that era, but I hear them so much on classic rock radio or other radio that they don't have the significance as those classic nuggets do, the one-hit wonders, the lost hits. Those are the ones that open the time capsule, for me anyway. And maybe some of you feel the same. Let me put this away for now. Those are the songs that really take me back, okay? Those nuggets, those hard-to-find songs. And I love this kind of stuff. I love lost hits, lost 45's, nuggets, rare cuts, songs I haven't heard in decades. I really love this stuff because this helps you rediscover those times, those periods in your life that are so important and special. Now, because of this, I wanted to talk specifically about this kind of stuff. I know this isn't Beatles today, it's not Elvis, but I want to talk about how I rediscovered this kind of stuff years ago. And it was from a little radio station, well, I shouldn't say radio station, a radio show up in my area back in the 80s, in the late 80s, okay? Back in 1987, I was working late nights up here in my area in the Northeast United States. And working these late nights, you know, you put on the radio, and back then, you know, there was FM radio, obviously, but there was a little show on there called The Lost 45's. And it was with a host by the name of Barry Scott. I don't know if any of you have heard this show. I know it was syndicated briefly. For a short period of time, his show was syndicated across the United States. Not sure if it went into Canada. But it was called The Lost 45's with Barry Scott. And this show, back in the late 80s, when I was working those late nights, really helped me rediscover these nuggets, these lost hits, these lost 45's. And I'm telling you, I fell in love with these songs again because, like I said earlier, it opened up the time capsule for me. It brought me back to a time when I just, you know, when I was younger, when life was a little more simpler and innocent, and it just made me smile every time I would hear his show. And he would play these nuggets from the late 60s, 70s, and into the early 80s as the show got on into the 90s. He would go back about 10 years and play some stuff into the early 80s. And I loved the show. And so what I started doing is I started seeking these songs again. I remember having them, and I did have some of the 45's tucked away in a box somewhere. And I said, I've got to find these songs again. They're making me so happy. They make me smile. They bring back the memories so vividly that I've got to find these songs. So what I started to do is I started seeking out CDs, 45's, and some LPs that contain these lost hits. Now, the 45's were pretty easy to find, but it was the LPs that contained these nuggets that were a little more elusive, because everybody had the 45 of some of these songs, but to find the LP that it came on, that one-hit wonder came on, that was a little more hard, a little more difficult to look for and discover. So I'll show you a few of those today also. So I thought I'd show some of these things to you today and talk about it a little bit. Now this first CD I'm showing you are the only two CDs I know of that Barry Scott released from his Lost 45 show. He only put out two from what I understand. This is volume 1. Barry Scott presents the Lost 45's of the 70s and 80s. Okay. And this is volume 2 right here. Again, Barry Scott presents the Lost 45's of the 70s and 80s, volume 2. Now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see these songs on here. It's so, with the glare and everything, it's going to be difficult, but it's chock full of songs that you just can't hear anymore, that you're just very difficult to find. But it's got so many good things on here, like Men Without Hats, The Safety Dance. This is some of the 80s ones on volume 2. Tony Carey, Steel Breeze, Starbuck. Just some of those one-hit wonders that you just don't hear anymore. So I got these two CDs back several years ago when he put out these two CDs from his show. And then I found little CDs like this. This one's called Bubblegum Classics, The Voice of Tony Burrows. Now you might be saying, well, who the heck is Tony Burrows, and why is his picture on the cover of a CD? I never heard of him before. I had never heard of Tony Burrows either, folks, until I realized that he was the voice of so many different groups of the early 70s that put out those one-hit wonders. For example, do you remember the song Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes? My Baby Loves Lovin', United We Stand, Beach Baby, Gimme Dat Ting. Give me that ting. It looks like, yeah, give me that ting. Well, Tony Burrows was the voice on all of those groups that sang those big top 40 hits in the early 70s. And some of you may remember them. White Plains, First Class, Edison Lighthouse. I could go on and on. West End Boys. I mean, he was the voice, he was the studio voice of all those top 40 hits. So this is something to seek out if you get a chance. Bubblegum Classics, the voice of Tony Burrows. And like I said, I just love these kind of songs, folks, and they do bring you back to those times. And I'd be curious to see how many of you remember these lost hits and these lost 45's. Another great series I highly recommend before I get into some of the actual vinyl I have is this one right here. It's called Super Hits of the 70s, Have a Nice Day. Do you remember these being released back in the 90s, I believe? There were 25 volumes of this. I have all of them. I have all 25 volumes. I'm not going to show you all 25, but I wanted to give you a little sampling. Volume 16. I just grabbed a handful of them. This is what the covers look like. And then I'll show you some of the songs. Hopefully you can see them a little bit. Just to give you a flavor and a sense of what I'm talking about with this music. I love so many genres of music. As you know, the Beatles, Elvis, so many things. And you know I'm a big power pop fan. If you've watched any of my videos, you know how big a fan I am of that genre. But this is something I haven't really talked about yet, is my love for Lost 45's, nuggets, rare cuts, one-hit wonders, songs you just don't hear anymore. And this is the era, folks, back in late 60s, coming into the 70s, when AM radio was king, like I said at the beginning. AM radio was it. That's what you had. You had your little transistor radio. Sometimes you'd plug in that one little earbud thing and you'd listen to your favorite songs, and boy, what memories came flooding back. Okay, I'm going to go through a bunch of 45s I have right now. Just going to throw them out to you, name what they are, see if you remember any of these songs, see if they take any of you back. Now, I know I'm speaking to a limited crowd here because I have a feeling that any of you born after the late 60s, I'm talking like 1969 and after, you're probably not going to be too familiar with a lot of these songs. You may be if you're really a connoisseur of the old lost hits. But this is more for the baby boomer people. I mean, anyone who's in my age category, I'm talking born, well, you know how old I am. I'm 56. I mean, if in that age category, probably 50 and up, then you know of these songs. You've heard them. They bring back memories. Maybe some of the ones I'm going to show you haven't heard in many decades. Maybe it will give you the impetus to go look for it and listen to it again. Go on Spotify and check out some of these songs. But anyway, I'm going to whip through them here. You younger people, people born after 68 or 69, you may get bored with this and want to leave. I don't know, but I'm hoping you'll stick around for a minute anyway and check it out. All right, David Naughton, Making It. All right, here's one of the big ones I was telling you about that Tony Burrows sings lead on. Beach Baby by First Class. Who remembers that song from 1974? Beach Baby, First Class. What a great song. I could listen to the song every day. Beach Baby, First Class. Remember that. I've said it 3 times. Great song. Bellamy Brothers, Let Your Love Flow. Remember that one? This one I happen to have a picture disc. It's on the Bell label. I Think I Love You. The Partridge Family. That's a lost hit. Randy Van Warmer, Just When I Needed You Most. Who remembers that song? Hoping I'm making some of you smile right now, seeing some of these songs. Some of you are probably going, what? Never heard of it. What's he talking about? Jackie Blue, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils. Undercover Angel, Alan O'Day. Dreamweaver, Gary Wright. I'm sure many of you remember that one. You Are the Woman, Firefall. Remember that one? Oh, this is a big one. Chevy Van, Sammy Johns. You could get it for 98 cents. Chevy Van, Sammy Johns. That's a great song. I encourage you, any of these songs that you think you might be interested in, go check them out. Lee Michaels, Do You Know What I Mean? Again, I'm just showing a sampling, folks. Gallery, Nice to Be With You. Remember that song? Big lost hit. On the Kama Sutra label, The Rapper, The Jaggers. I believe that's more late 60s lost 45. Break My Stride, Matthew Wilder, an early 80s lost 45. It's a goofy little silly song, but this is one of those songs that, you think a 56-year-old guy like me wouldn't care for. I like this song. It's a cute little song. Break My Stride, Matthew Wilder. Check it out. You'll remember it. Remember the band New England? Hello, hello, hello. Try to hold these right for you. 5-man electrical band, Signs. Early 70s, mid 70s nugget. Well, this is a really, really nugget. The Corgis, Everybody's Gotta Learn Sometime. Who has heard that song besides me? I love it. The Corgis, Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime. Well, this is a real nugget. Smile, a Little Smile for Me by the Flying Machine. Big Lost 45 on the Bell label. I still have the original sleeve. Seasons in the Sun, Terry Jacks. Gilbert O'Sullivan, Alone Again Naturally. Try to pick up the pace here a little bit. I only have a few more. My Angel Baby by Toby Bow. Black Betty, Ram Jam. What a cool tune. How many know of Black Betty, Ram Jam on Epic? The Lord's Prayer, Sister Janet Mead from 1973. Remember that? Made the top 40. Bell label, Vicki Lawrence. Oh, Joe, Mean Mr. Mayo is going to like this one. I know he likes this song. Vicki Lawrence, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia, on the Bell label. Spiders and Snakes, Jim Stafford. A couple more here. Shake It by Ian Matthews. Remember that song, Shake It? Ian Matthews, late 70s, on the Mushroom label. These labels are pretty cool too. The Morning After, Maureen McGovern from 1972, was played in the Poseidon Adventure movie, the first one. And my last 45 is Afternoon Delight, the Starland Vocal Band. Okay, so those are some 45s. Now what I thought I would do is show you some of those rare instances where not only was I able to acquire the 45, but I was able to get the album, which I felt was a little more difficult to find, a little rarer, so to speak. I have a re-release of this song. Who remembers this? Orpheus is the band. Can't Find the Time to Tell You. I have the 45, but even better for me was that I found the vinyl album it came on. And there's the hype sticker. Contains the hit single, Can't Find the Time to Tell You, Orpheus. I'm telling you folks, go check out this song. I have all the songs I'm showing you. If you don't want to check any of them out, that's fine. But check this one out. This is one of those really rare, lost 45, one-hit wonders, nuggets you'll never hear, you hardly ever hear anymore. But many of you in my age category, if you hear it, you'll go, ah, yes, I remember that song. It's a great song. Orpheus, Can't Find the Time to Tell You. And here's the vinyl album. Okay. Okay, then there's on the Millennium label, remember this song? By Chilliwack. Now, I believe they were a Canadian band, so maybe Paul, Fit to Be Tie-Dyed, is familiar with these guys. On the Millennium label, My Girl, Gone, Gone, Gone by Chilliwack. There's the 45. And here's the album it came on. Chilliwack. Okay. Here's a real nugget. Group is called Moving Pictures. And the song is called What About Me? And here's the album it came on. Days of Innocence. Moving Pictures. Get a chance, check out this song as well. What About Me by Moving Pictures. Good song. You'll remember it. On the Life Song label, Henry Gross, Shannon. Who remembers that song from the 70s? And here's the album it came on. Henry Gross release. Got a little centerfold here. Here's the back. With the song Shannon, starts off side 2. So again, I only have a few of these albums, but I thought they were kind of unique when I would come across them because, as I said, you know, having the single back in the day, top 40 single was kind of common. Most people would have it, especially if it made top 5 or top 10, like most of these songs did. But to find the album it actually came on could be kind of a challenge. All right, here's a big one. If you're from my age category, you'll remember this. Who Do You Think You Are from Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods on the ABC Dunhill Records label. There's the original 45. And then Rare of Rare is the actual album, the self-titled album, Bo Donaldson and the Haywoods. ABC Records. Nice gatefold of Bo and the guys. And the back. And actually, I really can't consider these guys one-hit wonders because there's 2 top 40 hits on this album. You have Who Do You Think You Are, but then you have the bigger, which I had the single, but the single I don't have here original is Billy, Don't Be a Hero. So they had 2 top 40 hits on this album, Who Do You Think You Are and Billy, Don't Be a Hero, which I'm sure many of you in my age category remember. And last but not least today is one of my favorite bands from this era. I consider them kind of a power pop band from the era, I would say. And also one of my favorite lost 45 hits. It's on the Bell label. It's by the band called The Sweet, Little Willie. Little Willie. But here's even rarer. Here's the album it came on. And they had several hits. They weren't really one-hit wonders. You know, Ballroom Blitz, Fox on the Run, Blockbuster. I could go on Action. They had a lot of hits, especially in England. They were big. The Sweet, Little Willie on the Bell label. And here's the back. Okay. And just a couple more that I don't have the 45s of, but they're kind of rare. So I'll show you them. Just 3 left. From 1979, Bram Tchaikovsky. Who remembers that artist? And his one big smash, which, if you love power pop, get it. Girl of My Dreams by Bram Tchaikovsky. Girl of My Dreams from 1979, summer of 79. Check it out. Girl of My Dreams, Bram Tchaikovsky. Great song. Don't have the single. Funny I don't have this single. Remember the song Magic by the band Pilot? Well, here's the LP. The original LP it came on. But that song from 75, I believe, Pilot, the song is called Magic. Check it out. What a great song. Great mid-70s power pop, that song. And last but not least, another one of those big ones that brings you back to the Lost 45 era. Do you remember the group Paper Lace? And do you remember their song, The Night Chicago Died? From 73 or so. Big Lost 45. Paper Lace, The Night Chicago Died. Well, that's it for that, folks, for showing you things. But again, I want to bring up the Carpenters again because this is the stuff I love, folks. I'm sure many of you folks out there love it. It's just stuff that brings you back to happier times, fun times. And I'll read this in closing. God bless you all and thanks for watching. Looking back on how it was in years gone by and the good times that I had makes today seem rather sad. So much has changed. It was songs of love that I would sing to then, and I'd memorize each word. Those old melodies still sound so good to me as they melt the years away.